Hi, you cool cats. Catron here, the Sax Habit Coach, bringing you the best tips, tools, and ideas to help you as a beginner saxophone player develop the practice habits and routines to master your saxophone faster. Now, my purpose is to serve you, to motivate and inspire you. So if it's your first time here, consider subscribing and remember to turn on that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload a new video on this channel, which I do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I also post one cover on another day during the week. All right, so we all have obsessions, right? For some of us, it's a new car, a new shoes, a new gadget, a new house, getting that woman who is as fine as wine, right? And then for others of us, it's something relating to the saxophone. Now, nothing is wrong with an obsession if it is handled correctly. It becomes detrimental, however, when it is carried overboard. And there are just some obsessions that saxophone players have that stand in the way of their progress. And I want you to avoid these obsessions as a beginner so that you can learn faster. So all around the internet, I see various versions of these, and they usually come in the form of questions. I'll break down the questions, then share my perspective and the alternative questions that are better to ask. So number one, what is your setup? Now, this has to do with the sax being used, the mouthpiece, the reed size, but the truth is, even if that person hands over the entire catalog of the gear they're using, you wouldn't sound 25% of what they sound like because you haven't yet invested the time required to play like that. And what I do find funny is that I read somewhere in an article where the author said that a lot of professional saxophone players spend more time searching and chasing down the perfect mouthpiece than the amount of time they actually spend on their horn practicing and getting better. Now, if they have such an obsession as a pro player, it means that began from the time they started playing sax. All right. Number two, what brand saxophone are you using? Now, this question I see a lot, especially of those just beginning the journey. Now, if you get an answer that hits you in the face, that says a professional Yamaha, Cannonball, Selmer, or Yanagisawa that costs 8G, are you going to run to the bank and pull out your 8K or swipe your credit card for that? Almost never. Now, if I'm just learning to drive, even if I can afford to, my first car wouldn't be a Bentley or a Jaguar. I don't know yet what the hell I'm doing, okay? Number three, how do I play these licks and improvise on this? Okay, so we all want to play licks, tricks, and improvise, etc., right? Seems that this is the goal of a lot of people. But the naked truth is, if you don't know the main route, like the palm of your hand from work back to home, then why would you take a detour or an alternate route when it's completely unnecessary? Get the point? Number four, how do I play altissimo notes? Now, this one is the funniest of all. Why? Because a lot of beginner players are trying to play notes that are unnecessary. Further, if you can't play comfortably over the normal range of the horn, including playing your side palm D, high E flat E or F, then you're wasting your time trying to play altissimo. Question here, did you know that Charlie Parker, the legend, hardly ever played altissimo during his career? Yep, guess he never saw it as important. So, what questions should be asked instead? Number one, what gear would be best suited for me as a beginner? Now, when you ask this question, you put the focus back on your development, not trying to jump to someone else's middle when it's just your beginning. And as a beginner sax player, you wouldn't be able to play a size 3 reed because your embouchure is just not ready for that. You'd never get a sound out of your horn. It's not about the gear, it's about you, my friend. All right. Number two, what's a good student saxophone to begin with? Now, asking this question this way will reduce your anxieties about cost, etc. Furthermore, when you have learned to take care of the horn, you'll be better able to appreciate and handle an upgrade. Quick story. I remember when I just started playing saxophone, there was this saxophonist who was doing some additional studies at the university where I was studying at the time. And he took my soprano saxophone that cost less than $500. And he used my entire setup, my mouthpiece and the reeds that I had in the case. And I can tell you, the sound that came out of that horn was heavenly. So that was the first time I recognized that it's more about the player than the gear, because that time I never played with that kind of sound. Of course, some saxophones sound way better than others and the quality superior, but I don't waste my time chasing gear while neglecting the fundamentals. All right. Number 3, what fundamentals should I focus on to improvise well? I never hear these questions. Most of the time, the questions I hear are focused on the outcome rather than the process required to get to the outcome. The process is always more important than the outcome, as you learn more during the process than what you learn from the end result. And then the 4th and final question is, what are the required fundamentals to play anywhere along the horn? Altissimo, low notes, middle notes, whatever. Okay? So, cool cats, go get obsessing over the process of technique and sound development, and the rest will naturally be a byproduct. The altissimo, the licks, and so on. Okay? So that's what you should be obsessing about. The process of developing your technique and your sound, and all the other bells and whistles will come. And as always, push, play until something happens.